I heard the buzzing at 2:17 a.m. Not from my phone, from somewhere in my 10-year-old daughter Emma's bedroom. My heart raced as I crept down the hallway, wondering if she'd somehow gotten hold of my device. But when I pushed open her door, I saw something that made my blood run cold. Emma was sitting up in bed, illuminated by the glow of a smartphone I'd never seen before, frantically typing messages to someone. At 2 a.m, my fourth grader, who wasn't supposed to have any device in her room, was having secret conversations with strangers online. "Emma, where did you get that phone?" I whispered, trying not to wake her younger brother. Her face went white. "Grandma Linda said it was our special secret," she stammered. "She said you and Daddy would be mad because you don't understand how important it is for kids to have phones now." My mother-in-law had gone behind my back, given my child unsupervised internet access, and coached her to hide it from me. But the glowing screen in my daughter's hands at 2 a.m. told me this gift had already exposed Emma to dangers I couldn't have imagined. Linda had always been the type of mother-in-law who believed she knew better than the actual parents. My husband Mike's mother had strong opinions about everything from Emma's bedtime to her extracurricular activities, and she wasn't shy about expressing them. "You're too strict," was Linda's constant refrain. "Kids today need more freedom than you're giving. Emma, you're going to make her rebellious by being so controlling." Mike and I had made the conscious decision to wait until Emma was at least 12 before getting her a phone. We'd researched extensively, talked to other parents, and felt comfortable with our timeline. Emma had accepted this, understanding that phones came with responsibilities she wasn't ready for yet. Linda disagreed loudly and frequently. "All of Emma's friends have phones," she'd argue during family dinners. "She's being left out. She feels different and excluded. You're hurting her social development." When we explained our concerns about cyberbullying, inappropriate content, and the addictive nature of social media for young minds, Linda would wave dismissively. "You're being paranoid," she'd say. "I raised 3 kids just fine, and if phones had existed back then, I would have gotten them phones much earlier." Kids are smarter than you think. The tension escalated when Emma started spending more time at Linda's house after school. Linda volunteered to watch Emma twice a week while Mike and I worked late, and we were grateful for the family support. Emma always came home happy and chatty about her time with Grandma, but looking back, there were signs I should have noticed. Emma started asking different questions about technology and social media. She'd mention things she couldn't possibly have learned at school or from her friends. She seemed to know more about popular apps and online trends than a 10-year-old should. "How do you know about TikTok dances, honey?" I'd ask. "Oh, just from friends at school," Emma would say, quickly changing the subject. I trusted my mother-in-law with my daughter. I never imagined she'd deliberately undermine our parenting decisions and put Emma at risk to prove a point about our overprotective rules. Finding Emma with that phone at 2 a.m. was just the beginning. When I demanded to see the device, what I discovered made me physically sick. The phone had no parental controls, no usage restrictions, and no monitoring software. It was connected to Linda's family plan, which meant Emma had unlimited data and calling capabilities. But worse than the unrestricted access was what Emma had been exposed to in the 3 weeks since Linda gave it to her. Emma's browser history showed visits to websites completely inappropriate for a 10-year-old. Social media platforms, chat rooms, and video content that would be concerning even for teenagers. The search history revealed that someone had been teaching Emma how to delete evidence of her online activity. "Grandma Linda showed me how to clear the history so you wouldn't worry about what I looked at," Emma confessed when I confronted her. She said parents get scared about things that aren't really dangerous. The text message log was even more alarming. Emma had been chatting with multiple unknown contacts, including several adult men who'd started conversations through gaming apps Linda had downloaded. The messages began innocently enough, discussions about games and school, but quickly progressed to personal questions about Emma's daily routine, when she was home alone, and whether her parents checked her phone. One conversation made my hands shake. "Does your mom look at your messages?" "No, she doesn't know about my phone." Good, that's smart. Parents worry too much? Do you want to meet up sometime? I live pretty close to your area. Maybe? That would be fun. I counted 17 different unknown contacts who'd been messaging my fourth grader, many late at night when they assumed she'd be unsupervised. Several had sent friend requests on social platforms, and a few had already moved conversations to more private messaging apps. Emma had also been exposed to cyberbullying through a group chat with older kids from her school. Messages calling her names, excluding her from activities, and making cruel comments about her appearance filled the screen. Some of the kids are mean, Emma admitted, tears in her eyes. But Grandma said that's just how kids talk. Online, and I need to learn to handle it. My mother-in-law hadn't just given Emma a phone. She'd thrown my innocent 10-year-old into the digital deep end without any safety measures, supervision, or preparation for the very real dangers she'd encounter. The next morning, I called Linda directly, expecting an apology and explanation. Instead, I got defiance and manipulation. Emma needed that phone, Linda stated firmly. She was being left behind socially, and you were being unreasonable about it. I did what was best for my granddaughter. Linda, she's been talking to strangers online. Adult men who were asking to meet her. There was a pause. Well, that's why she needs to learn internet safety now rather than later. You can't protect her forever? I was stunned by her casualness about my daughter's safety. When I demanded she explain why she'd told Emma to keep the phone secret, Linda's response revealed the calculated nature of her betrayal. I knew you'd overreact exactly like this, she said. Emma deserves to have someone in her life who trusts her judgment and doesn't treat her like a baby. If you'd found out immediately, you would have taken it away before she could prove she was responsible enough to handle it. I realized Linda hadn't just made an impulsive decision. She'd deliberately planned to undermine my parenting and had coached Emma on how to deceive me. That afternoon, I took Emma and the phone to our local police station. Officer Sarah Martinez, who specialized in internet crimes against children, reviewed the message history and immediately identified several concerning contacts. Mrs. Thompson, your daughter has been targeted by at least 3 individuals who show classic patterns of online predators, Officer Martinez explained. The progression of their conversations, building trust, asking personal questions, requesting meetings, these are textbook grooming behaviors. She showed me how the predators had used information Emma innocently provided to research our family, our neighborhood, and Emma's school schedule. They knew when Emma walked home alone, which days I worked late, and even details about our house layout that Emma had mentioned during conversations. One of these men lives within 5 miles of your home, Officer Martinez continued. He's been planning to accidentally encounter Emma at locations she mentioned frequenting. The gaming apps Linda had downloaded were particularly dangerous. They were designed to look like innocent children's games, but were actually platforms used by predators to identify and contact vulnerable children. Officer Martinez also discovered that Emma's phone had been hacked by cyberbullies from her school. They'd gained access to her camera and had been taking screenshots of her private moments, which they threatened to share if she didn't comply with their demands. Your daughter has been dealing with multiple forms of online abuse for weeks, Officer Martinez explained. The stress of managing these situations alone, without parental guidance, could cause lasting psychological damage. What Linda had framed as giving Emma freedom and trust was actually abandoning a 10-year-old to navigate some of the internet's most dangerous territories completely alone. The phone Linda thought would help Emma socially had instead made her a target for predators, bullies, and criminals. The situation escalated rapidly once law enforcement got involved. Officer Martinez contacted the FBI's Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force, as Emma's case involved potential interstate predators and organized grooming operations. Your daughter's phone number and personal information have been shared in online networks used by child predators, FBI agent Rebecca Torres explained during our emergency meeting. We've identified at least 7 individuals across 4 states who have her contact information and personal details. The most terrifying revelation came when investigators traced one of Emma's contacts to a registered sex offender living 12 minutes from our home. David Chen, 34, had been using a fake identity to pose as a teenage gamer. His messages to Emma had grown increasingly manipulative over the 3 weeks she'd had the phone. Mr. Chen has been planning what appears to be an abduction attempt, Agent Torres revealed. He's been studying your daughter's schedule and has made several test drives past locations where she spends time unsupervised. Investigators found that Chen had been parked outside Emma's school twice in the previous week, taking photos and timing her exit from the building. He'd also visited the park where Emma played after school, gathering intelligence about her habits and routines. The cyberbullying situation had also spiraled into criminal territory. The group of older kids tormenting Emma had escalated to sharing doctored photos of her and creating fake social media profiles to humiliate her. They'd also been using her personal information to sign her up for inappropriate websites and services. These children are committing identity theft and harassment, Detective Mike Rodriguez explained. Their actions constitute multiple felonies, even though they're minors. The most chilling discovery was that Emma's phone had been remotely accessed by unknown parties who had been monitoring her location, reading her messages, and even activating her camera without her knowledge. The phone Linda thought was keeping Emma connected had actually been broadcasting my daughter's private life to criminal networks. When I confronted Linda with these findings, her response was shocking in its selfishness. "How was I supposed to know this would happen?" she demanded. "Kids get phones all the time without these problems. This is just bad luck." Bad luck? I was incredulous. You gave a 10-year-old unrestricted internet access and told her to hide it from her parents. You created the perfect scenario for predators. Linda became defensive and blamed me for attracting drama and making a mountain out of a molehill. When I told her that Emma might have been kidnapped because of her decision, Linda accused me of being hysterical and using scare tactics. The final straw came when Linda called Emma directly, trying to convince her that the police investigation was mommy being dramatic and that she should ask for her phone back because nothing really bad happened. My mother-in-law's refusal to accept responsibility for endangering my child made it clear that Emma would never be safe in her unsupervised care again. The legal intervention began with Child Protective Services. CPS caseworker Janet Williams had to investigate whether Linda's actions constituted child endangerment through gross negligence. Providing an unsupervised internet connection to a 10-year-old and coaching them to hide it from parents creates an inherently dangerous situation, Williams explained. Mrs. Linda Thompson's actions directly facilitated contact between your daughter and multiple predators. The evidence against Linda was comprehensive. Phone records showed she'd paid for Emma's plan for 3 weeks, during which time Emma had received over 200 messages from unknown adults. Digital forensics revealed that Linda had disabled all safety features and parental controls before giving Emma the device. Mrs. Thompson deliberately circumvented every protection designed to keep children safe online, prosecutor David Chang explained when reviewing the case for potential criminal charges. Her actions weren't just negligent, they were recklessly endangering. Linda hired a defense attorney who tried to frame her actions as grandparental rights and generational differences in technology understanding. But the evidence of deliberate deception undermined any claim of innocent intentions. The defendant instructed the child to delete browser history, hide the device from parents, and lie about her online activities, the prosecutor countered. This wasn't a technology misunderstanding. This was systematic deception designed to undermine parental authority over a minor child's safety. The case attracted attention from family court as well. Mike and I filed for supervised visitation requirements, requesting that Linda never be allowed unsupervised contact with Emma again. Family court judge Patricia Reeves reviewed the FBI investigation findings and ruled decisively. Mrs. Linda Thompson's actions demonstrated a complete disregard for child safety and parental authority, Judge Reeves stated. By providing unrestricted Internet access to a 10-year-old and coaching deception, she created conditions that directly led to the child being targeted by predators and cyberbullies. The court order required Linda to complete parenting education courses focusing on internet safety and appropriate boundaries with grandchildren. Any future contact with Emma had to be supervised and could not involve any technology or internet access. Most importantly, the court validated our concerns as parents and affirmed our right to make technology decisions for our minor child without interference from extended family members. Grandparents do not have the right to override parents' safety decisions, especially when those decisions involve protecting children from documented dangers, Judge Reeves concluded. The consequences for Linda were swift and comprehensive. The criminal charges included child endangerment, contributing to the delinquency of a minor, and facilitating internet crimes against children. She faced up to 3 years in prison and $50,000 in fines. Linda's defense strategy backfired spectacularly when her attorney tried to claim she was simply being a loving grandmother who wanted to help Emma fit in socially. The prosecution presented evidence showing Linda had researched online safety warnings and deliberately ignored them. The defendant purchased the most expensive unlimited plan available, disabled every safety feature, and specifically chose apps known for being used by predators to contact children, Prosecutor Chang demonstrated to the jury. These weren't mistakes. They were deliberate choices that prioritized the defendant's desire to undermine the parents over the child's safety. The most damaging testimony came from Dr. Maria Rodriguez, a child psychologist specializing in internet trauma. Emma suffered significant psychological damage from the online predation and cyberbullying she experienced, Dr. Rodriguez testified. The defendant's actions directly caused this trauma by removing all protective barriers and support systems that should protect children online. Expert witness testimony revealed that Linda's actions had violated multiple federal laws designed to protect children from online predators. The apps she'd downloaded for Emma were actually under FBI investigation for facilitating child exploitation. Mrs. Thompson essentially delivered a 10-year-old child directly into the hands of organized predators, FBI agent Torres testified. Her actions weren't just negligent. They actively aided criminal enterprises targeting children. The judge's sentencing was particularly harsh, influenced by Linda's continued refusal to accept responsibility. Throughout these proceedings, the defendant has shown no remorse for endangering a child, Judge Patricia Evans stated. She continues to blame the parents for being overprotective, while ignoring the documented evidence that her actions led to the child being stalked by predators. Linda received 18 months in prison, 3 years probation, and was ordered to pay for Emma's therapy costs and cybersecurity measures to protect our family. She was also required to complete 200 hours of community service with organizations focused on internet safety education. The civil lawsuit against Linda for emotional damages and security costs resulted in a $75,000 judgment that would fund Emma's therapy and our family's relocation to ensure safety from the predators who'd gathered our personal information. Most satisfying was watching Linda's social media presence crumble as news of her conviction spread through our community. Her friends and neighbors learned that the caring grandmother they knew had actually facilitated online predators targeting a 10-year-old child. Linda's reputation was permanently destroyed, and she struggled to maintain relationships with other grandchildren in the family. 2 years later, Emma is thriving with proper therapeutic support and age-appropriate technology introduction. Dr. Rodriguez reports that Emma has successfully processed the trauma from her online experiences and has developed healthy boundaries around internet use. Emma now understands the difference between safe and unsafe online interactions. Dr. Rodriguez explains. She's learned to recognize manipulation tactics and feels confident reporting concerning contact to trusted adults. We eventually did get Emma a phone at age 12 with comprehensive parental controls, regular monitoring, and extensive safety education. Emma participates actively in setting her own digital boundaries and has become an advocate for internet safety among her peers. Our relationship with Linda remains permanently changed. She completed her court-ordered education and served her sentence, but has never acknowledged the full scope of harm her actions caused. The supervised visits are awkward and infrequent, focused entirely on offline activities. Mike has had to process his own feelings about his mother's betrayal. Family therapy helped him understand that protecting Emma from his mother's poor judgment wasn't disrespectful. It was necessary. Parenting. I finally realized that my mom's need to be the fun grandmother became more important to her than Emma's safety. Mike reflected during one session. That's not love. That's selfishness. We've connected with other families who've dealt with grandparents overstepping technology boundaries. There's a growing community of parents navigating these modern challenges where older generations don't understand digital safety risks. The most important lesson learned is that good intentions don't excuse dangerous actions. Family members who refuse to respect parental boundaries around child safety aren't being loving, they're being selfish. Have you dealt with family members who've undermined your parenting decisions about technology? How do you balance family relationships with child safety? Share your experiences below. These conversations help us all navigate modern parenting challenges.